Okay, good morning. I am Deborah McPhee, and I'm a certified business coach, and my area of expertise is violence at work, domestic violence, and sexual harassment. So a lot of people say, Deb, how did you get such a small niche? The hard way, all right? When I was 40, I had a very short second marriage to a guy who tried to kill me. I'm a survivor of a botched homicide attempt. I married this man. I lived with him literally a few weeks, and he crossed the line with my 13-year-old daughter. So I had him arrested, filed for divorce, check, or order of protection. I did everything as a mother I did to protect my children. And what we know now that we didn't know 20 years ago is that's when they come to kill you. When abusers can no longer control you, there's nothing left to do but kill you. 3 women a day in the United States are killed by intimate partner violence. So that's how the story starts. Since then, I went to school as an adult. I was 49 years old. I was a freshman at DePaul. I got my master's degree when I was 58. Started my own company. By the time I was 60, I had my own booth at Midwinter Dental Show. It's a pretty big deal to have your own booth. 30 years working in other people's booths, and then I had my own booth. All right, so we're going to talk about today what happens when violence comes to work. As business owners, you want to protect your office. What kind of energy do you let the people bring into your office? Your employees, your customers, your patients. All right, so preventing sexual misconduct in the workplace takes a scientific, trauma-informed, objective approach. What is your plan? Does everybody have a sexual harassment policy in their office? A bullying policy in their office? I have one. We're gonna pass it out. This is kind of a new field. So in your training manual, in your office manual, you want to have a new section. And you want a bullying policy, a sexual harassment policy, and a domestic violence policy in your book. And this is something that all your new hires are going to sign that they understand when they come into your office. Okay, OSHA says workplace violence is any threat or physical violence, harassment, intimidation, anything that happens at work. What about outside of work? What about if one of your assistants goes to a lab to pick up a case, or runs to Home Depot or Office Max to pick up supplies? Everything that happens to your employees while they're working falls under your direction as a business owner. So, what's a meanie? Anybody ever have a meanie in their life, or a bully? Remember the bully in 3rd grade on the playground? Well, somebody that harasses at work, somebody that is hits women, a domestic violencer, that hit any human that hits another human, that's that person grown up. All right, meanness is a sign of weakness. You know, when you say, do you ever go to the grocery store and you're waiting in line, minding your own business, and the person in front of you is just like really yelling at the cashier? It's like, wow, that poor cashier, what'd they do, right? So somebody that's mean, they're struggling with something internally. It's got nothing to do with you. When somebody bullies you, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. All right, so as a business owner, this is a graph of conflict. So when your employees are fighting with one another, as a business owner, where do you step in? Blue, yellow, or red? Do you wait to the red? Red, the police are at your door. Something happens, something big happens, somebody called the police. You have to step in before that. The blue, you don't want to step in too soon. You want to see if they can work it out by themselves. But bullies expose your organization to litigation. And that's the last thing you need as a business owner is the police at your door because you have 2 employees in the lunchroom knocking it out. Okay, so we're going to talk about violence at work. And violence is separated into 4 different categories. Intrusive violence is unknown. That's usually a robbery. Consumer-related violence is when your staff and your patients, your staff and your customers are fighting with each other. Relationship violence. Now, this is where I wrote my thesis on this. This is my area of expertise. This is Me Too, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, boss, sexual harassment. And then finally, organizational violence is big company violence. We laid off 30,000 people at once, or everybody goes on strike and the rat shows up. Intrusive violence. Criminal intent by strangers. If somebody is holding a gun to your head and they haven't killed you, they want something. Find out what they want and give it to them. Grandfather's watch, take it off, right? So this right here happened to my brother. My brother worked for a large drugstore chain downtown Chicago, and men came in, they locked the door, tied everybody up, and took my brother,
gunpoint over to the safe, took all the money, then they went to the pharmacy, took all the pills, and then they left. And the corporation deemed the whole event a success because my brother, as manager, was able to keep everybody alive. You don't fight over money or stuff. You give it to them. They may go away. Okay. Active shooter protocol. You never want to talk down anyone that's holding a gun. They're already in a heightened sense. All right? People that responsibly carry guns, conceal and carry people, you never pull out a weapon. All right? Once somebody has a weapon in their hand, especially if they're waving it around, they're already in an excited state. You're not going to calm them down. So an active shooter understands that they're going to die that day, and their only goal is to kill as many people as they can before somebody kills them. Run, hide, fight. And if you Google run, hide, fight, there's a couple little videos on YouTube that you should watch, 15 minutes long. All right, so you run away, you hide. If you can't get out of the building and you come face to face with these people, you fight to the death. They're going to kill you anyway. Might as well try to hit them over the head with the fire extinguisher or anything you can find. Okay, when this walks into your office, first of all, as the boss there, you're going to point to somebody and say, call 911. And then you as the boss are going to go, if they have a gun, you run away. Don't mess with people with guns, right? But if somebody truly is under mental duress, either they're on drugs or they're not, or they need drugs and they're not on drugs, right? Either way, you're a little loopy, right? So if somebody is in your waiting room, it's going to take, 4-7 minutes for that ambulance to get there. So you have to triage. What can you sit with them? Can you calm them down? Do they need to be restrained? What are you going to do to keep that person safe, as well as all of your employees and your other patients that are in the office? Protest violence. If you have 50 people banging on your front door, you are not going to stand there with the baseball bat and hold them off. It's not going to happen. Get out of their way. They're going to come in, they're going to ruin everything, and that's what insurance is for. Keep yourself safe. You have to be careful, though, because if you hide in the basement and there's a fire, now you're in a fire. Okay? So don't mess with it. Just get out of their way. You're not going to calm down 50 angry people. Organizational violence, we said this is when the rat shows up, everybody goes on strike, the company lays off 30,000 people all at once. That is big company violence. Universal hand sign for help. Thumb in, hand down. We teach this to little babies. Thumb in, hand down. This is universal for help. If you see somebody doing this, help them. They are under some sort of duress. All right? We do this, especially if you're a clinician and you have somebody in your office. Let's say there's a woman and a man in the office and the man won't leave. That's a red flag. Separate them. And if the man turns around or gets on his phone and the woman starts doing this or making goofy eyes at you, they're trying to signal you. Separate them to see if she needs help. Okay, human trafficking. 50 kids a day are kidnapped from Chicago. 50 every day. All right, please don't let your teenagers run down, take the train into the city by themselves without a large group or a chaperone. Don't let 2 and 3 kids walk around by themselves. 50 kids a day are kidnapped from the Chicagoland area. Okay. In 2009, Illinois implemented the Human Rights Act law. This law states that if you are a business owner in Illinois with employees working in the state of Illinois, it's mandated now that you have 1 hour per year of sexual harassment prevention training. Now, we are 3 years into this, and now what they're doing is they're sending agents out to see. Everybody should have 3 certificates by now. So they're sending agents out to see if you have your 3 certificates, and if you don't, you're going to get a fine. Right now the fines are between $2,000 and $5,000. Not bad, but certainly uncomfortable. This picture here, this is Dr. G and her group. They were from all over the place, and they all were in Chicago for a meeting. So I just went to the building where they were having their meeting for something else, and we did it right in the lobby. So I have a training center downtown. My office is in the CNA building. I can hold about 45, 50 people at my office. Right, Dr. Babiak has a training center in Joliet. You have a room. Dr. Pick has a room. So anywhere we find a room, and if not, we go to a restaurant. All right. Not only do you have to supply 1 hour per year for your employees, if you hold a license with the state of Illinois, the doctors, the lawyers, the nurses, you have to have 1 CE hour per license renewal. Okay, so this is me. I was down in Springfield. These are the funeral directors. I'm the spokesperson for the Illinois Funeral Directors Association. for domestic violence and sexual assault and sexual harassment at work. So if you have an association, a group, a study club, anywhere where people gather together, get me in the room. We can knock it out in an hour. All right, so this is where it gets tricky. Everybody says, oh, well, I did my office training and I did my CE training, so I'm compliant. You're not. This is where they're trying to trick you up. All right? HR staff and team leads need an extra hour. Anyone with a medical license needs mandated reporter. You guys are all mandated reporters. Do you know where to report? Anyone? Nope? Okay. You report to your local police. I had a dentist call me at 8 o'clock at night, and he says, man, I just had an emergency leave. And every time I put the patient down and leaned in, she started crying and shaking. So we had to sit up, rest. Well, you do that 3 times, your hour's up. He says, I rescheduled them for tomorrow. They're coming back. I think he's hitting her. I'm going to confront him. Do you ever get in the middle of a domestic violence? No, never. Okay? So I instructed him, you call 911. You identify yourself as a doctor. Hi, this is Dr. So-and-so. I witnessed it. You don't say the patient's name. That's HIPAA. I had a patient today, and this is what I witnessed. This is what I think's going on. How would you like me to handle it? And then you do whatever the police tell you to do. In that instance, the police came the next day, 2 squad cars. They waited in the private office. After they separated, had the woman back in the chair, kept the man in the waiting room. They asked the woman, would you like to go to a shelter? We'll take you right now. She said yes. She left. Boom. Elvis has left the building. Now you go and tell the guy, sorry, dude, get out. She's gone. Okay? Do not get in the middle of a domestic violence suit. You don't want a fist fight or a gunfight in your waiting room because it's your job as boss to keep everybody safe. Okay, so how do you get compliant? How do you stay compliant in the state of Illinois? Number one, you can do it yourself. It's legal. It's legal to do it yourself. I would not recommend this. It's not your area of expertise. It'll take you so many hours to do the research and write the program, and it is a headache that you don't need, especially if you're a doctor and you have codes. You should do things with codes because that's what brings the money in. You should delegate everything else. Hire an advocate. Yes, hire me or somebody like me. This is the time to put somebody on your team who knows about. Does everybody have a NOSHA person on their you call? Okay, this is now you need a person like me. Once a year, come in, make sure everything's legal, and then you're giving your staff somebody to call when something goes wrong. Because they're not going to call you. They're not going to tell you. All right. And number 3, you can take an online class. Now this here is the actual slide from the state of Illinois, and this is what your staff sees. If you have a problem, here's the phone number, the EEOC. There's no other there. Got a problem? Call us. We're going to figure it out. All right. So that you're basically just teaching your staff to report you, and then once you're in the Illinois system, they're going to sue you. So this is, personal opinion. This isn't about keeping women safe. This is a moneymaker for the state of Illinois. How do you get more people into the court system? You make it mandatory that they all learn how. All right, so let's talk about what happens when somebody makes a claim on your company. First of all, you may have a young woman working for you, and there's one of your patients or one of your customers just bothers her, and every time he's near her, he accidentally touches her. And she is just fed up to here. She's not going to tell you you're the boss. She's going to go home. She's going to get on the internet, and she's going to say, what do I do? And who's on the internet? All those angry Me Too ladies. Call the EEOC, sue them, blah, blah, blah. So she's going to call the EEOC and report the guy that's grabbing her butt. What has she just done? She just put her boss in the system. And now he's in for $1 million. All right? So when somebody makes a claim on your company, the first thing you do is hire a lawyer. Then you hire a mediator. That's me, right? The state of Illinois is going to put investigators into your business. They're going to investigate. They're going to talk to you, your patients, your staff, your neighbors. Everybody is going to know your business. The investigations are taking 6 to 18 months. And at the end, you go to court. You pay the EEOC. You pay your lawyer. You pay the court costs. And when all that's finished, you start the civil suit. Meanwhile, when it hits the Facebook group of the town where you work, you're going to lose 40% of business overnight. Overnight. It's going to take you 5 years to get back to normal. All right? So you just got to start as a business owner. You got to say, do I have 5 years of half money plus all the fines? Do I have that tucked away somewhere in case this happens to me? All right. So let's talk about risk management. Are you proactive or are you reactive? Okay? When do you get involved to try to fix problems? Before they start? Or do you wait for things to explode and then hire the lawyer? This program sexual harassment claims have spiked in the 2 years this program has been a law. Spiked, absolutely spiked. So you have to stop thinking about, oh, this will never happen to me, and start thinking about, am I prepared for something like this walking into my office? All right, let's talk about your employees and the energy they bring into your office. All right, are your employees living in the sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system? Are they in fight or flight, or are they calm and relaxed? They got a good home life, they have help, they come in, they enjoy work, they are nice to your patients? Or are they stressed to the max? Maybe they're going through a divorce and a custody, and they have all kinds of problems, and they answer the phone like, hello, doctor's office. Oh, who needs that, right? So you look at the energy that your employees are bringing in and how they're treating your patients. I've spent the last 20 years going into 40 medical offices a week. And sometimes you walk in and, oh, my God, this place is great. I want to work here. And other times oh, man, you can cut the tension with a knife. Right? So you want a nice, friendly environment because your patients and your customers that come in, they all feel the energy. Okay, he said, she said. Last time I was here, I brought all kinds of scholarly articles, graphs, figures. I didn't do any of that. This time, I literally went to the internet and screenshot things that employees are saying. So this is what your staff, not your staff, but this is what staff says about their boss. All right, first of all, okay, this is Dr. Burroughs and Dr. Sinclair. They were killed over a set of dentures. All right, patient didn't like the dentures, went out to the car, got a gun, walked back inside. When all the women ran to the back, both doctors walked up to try to talk them down. You did not talk down somebody waving a gun. They're irrational. Okay, he shot them both. And now I'd like to talk about vestibules. If you build from scratch, build a vestibule. Can you get a vestibule in your doorway? Vestibule, you can get in, but then you have to be buzzed in, right? Because if that man walked in, and I say, oh, that's John, he just left. Oh, wait, he's back and he's got a gun. Don't let him in, right? Easy peasy. You guys, especially you physicians, you're not 7-Eleven. You're not open to the public. You're by invitation only. Here's your card. You are invited to come back next Tuesday at 2:30. And when the doorbell rings, oh, Tuesday, 2:30, let him in. Very easy. Lock your doors, people. Okay, this one here, Dr. O'Neill, lady in the middle, Dr. O'Neill. She was a ER physician at Mercy Hospital in Chicago. Her shift started at 4. It was 3:30. She was in the parking lot walking to work. Her ex-fiancé stalked her, started chasing her. She ran into the building, and he's chasing her wild, shooting a gun, and he shoots Officer Jimenez, 4 little babies, Dr. O'Neill, and little pharmacy tech, 25-year-old Dana Liss. And then the police came and shot him. 4 dead kids. And I say kids because all those kids are younger than my kids. 4 dead kids. Now, what if it was your wife and baby in the lobby of that hospital? What if that happened at Home Depot and you were just trying to pack your car? All right, you got to be a little hyper vigilant and be aware of your surroundings at all times. Here's another crazy ex-boyfriend walked into the dental office and asked for the hygienist. And when the hygienist walked in, he shot her and turned around and walked out. Okay? Vestibule people, lock your doors. All right, a lot of words here. 86% of dental hygienists have experienced inappropriate sexual behavior at work. That's not some of them, that's most of them. All right? Dental hygienists and ER nurses file the most claims. They're alone in the room with the doctor and they get inappropriately touched the most. Right? Let's see here. Practitioners need education and workplace policies. There's that word policies. Dr. Pick, where's Dr. Pick? Dr. Pick has an entire presentation just on systems and policies. All right? So what you have to know what your policy is, what's your policy, and how do you handle it, what's in your book. That happens, this is what we do. All right. This woman was held hostage for a week in her home. She convinces the boyfriend that the dog is sick and they have to go to the vet. And you can see here, she's passing a note. She's passing a note here to the front desk. And this on the internet has got a movie clip. Front desk reads it, turns around, passes it to the manager. They call the police. And the next clip is then they're in the room waiting for the vet to come in, and the police come in and apprehend them. So if you're working front desk at a medical practice, you have to be aware if somebody is looking at you cross-eyed or trying to give you signals, separate them so you can figure out what's going on. Women shot and killed in the busy dentist's office. All right, these co-parenting apps everything's all in one app, so everybody knows where the doctor appointments are. So this guy knew that the woman and the kid were at the orthodontist. Walked into a busy orthodontist office, shot her in the waiting room, full of people, full of kids. Okay, a lot of words here. Somebody said, just shut up and do your job. I told my boss and he hid in his office and gave us no direction. What are my rights? How do I keep myself safe? How do I keep the office safe? Signed, terrified hygienist. Okay? This is where your staff are going for help. Dear terrified, your boss wimps out. He showed tremendous lack of courage. You should sue him. This is the information you're getting. They're going to the internet. What do I do? And people are sue him. That's the only answer. This whole rule is breeding a new type of criminal. There's women that are placing themselves in your business as an employee or a patient or a customer, and they're instigating inappropriate behavior. And when it's reciprocated, they sue you. All right? So this one here, okay. This poor assistant. All right, I'm an RDA. I'm a registered dental assistant, and my boss threw black deposit slips. All right, first of all, those are little tiny needles. So, but she puts on there, I don't know what to do. The staff does not know what to do. This program is teaching them all what to do. What this woman doesn't know, first of all, I'd like to hear the doctor's point. This poor girl did something wrong for the 800th time that he actually threw something at her, right? So, number one, if you're a boss and you ever think you're going to hit another human being, especially in front of a patient, just leave the room. Go get as much cold water on your face as you can. Second of all, this is a criminal act. He assaulted her in front of a patient. What she could have done was had him arrested and sued him, and that was a big money case, but she didn't understand that. Okay. This one here, the male dental assistant. All right, I researched this a little bit. It was a male hygienist that kept rubbing against her chest, and she needs to feel safe when she gets her teeth cleaned. Now, this person here, this Maleficent person, I researched that name, and they are putting negative reviews on many, many different businesses. They're setting the tone, right? So when it happened, this happened last year. I posted about it. They're sending it with the idea that a judge is going to read it. Okay, a lot of words here. Let me summarize. A doctor put his hands on the assistant and shook her. He was frustrated and his temper got the best of him. She was sobbing uncontrollably. We're writing a romance novel here, right? She filed a police report. When the police came, we were all ushered into the room with the door and told to stay there till the police left. The doctor denied it. Well, how does she know if she was locked in the room? She wasn't part of that conversation, right? Okay, there's cameras in every room, but the doctor said no cameras. We all felt unsafe. She's crying. We believe her. Somebody's paying this woman's paycheck, and she's blasting him on the internet. What kind of staff do you have working for you, right? All right, so she's up here. It's awful. What is the right thing to do? They don't know what to do. This program is telling them, call the EEOC. That's what you do. This is not good for business owners. So, she wrote this with the idea that it's going to get in front of a judge one day. This is like a romance novel. She's this, that, we believe her, right? Okay, people say, Deb, what do you do at work? I do a whole lot of this. This is the better part of my day. I like my clients to be off to the side because I want everybody to fight with me, not the client. Nobody needs to fight with their boss. Let them fight with me. All right? But I keep the staff under control, I keep the state out of the way, and I just kind of do the dance all day long. But that's a big part of my day right there. I need to picture that. Okay, so before every emergency, there's a chance to plan. Again, what is your plan for when this happens to you, right? I have an inner circle program. My prices are $100 per employee per year. So if you have 15 people on your team, it's $1,500, and it's a write-off at the end of the year. Why would you not have an expert on your team, right? I handle, when you have new employees, they have to be trained the first week. So we do all the new employee onboarding. We do monthly connections with you and your team. And most importantly, you give your team somebody to call when something goes wrong. These assistants and staff members, they all call me, and sometimes it's nothing. Oh, yeah, okay, well, we'll just keep note of that, and sometimes it's big. I had a manager of a group practice call me up, and she says, I have 5 women here complaining about the same associate. Whoa, that's big. I was up there the next day. We had to put out that fire right away. So anyway, a lot of advocates advocate for the women to help the women fill out the paperwork. I do it the opposite. I advocate for the business owner. I try to handle things before anybody calls the state. Let's sit down, let's mediate, let's figure out how we're going to fix this so it doesn't happen again.